Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
Hackers seized control of 2 U.S. military social media sites. The hackers claim to be connected to the terror group ISIS.
A fender bender leads to murder. Now the search is on to find a man police say followed another man home after the accident and killed him.
And 2 police officers charged with murder in a shooting that sparked nationwide outrage. Now prosecutors say this case is so different. Good evening, I'm Ellen Leyva.
I'm Mark Brown. David and Colleen are off. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. An intense manhunt is underway for as many as 6 people in a terror cell tied to the Paris attacks, including the woman who escaped last week and may now be in Syria. Meanwhile, law enforcement across the country, including here in Southern California, are on the alert following a threat from ISIS. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson is live in our newsroom with the story. Alex?
Mark, French police say as many as 6 members of a terrorist cell may be at large. It's not clear if they're even still in France. France has deployed more than 10,000 troops to protect its most sensitive sites. And here in the U.S., the FBI is now investigating how our own military could be hacked.
I love you, ISIS, is the chilling message posted on the account of U.S. Central Command. Florida-based CENTCOM is in charge of the fight against ISIS, but hackers took over its YouTube and Twitter pages, writing, quote, "American soldiers, we are coming. Watch your back, ISIS."
I can tell you this is something that we're obviously looking into and something that we take seriously. The significant difference between what is a large data breach and the hacking of a Twitter account.
Over the weekend, ISIS threatened to strike the soldiers, police, security, and intelligence members in the U.S. Officials say there's no credible intelligence of an upcoming attack in Los Angeles.
As safe as LA is, bad things can happen. There are evil people in this world.
For all of us here in Los Angeles, we are as well prepared as any big city in the world.
Meanwhile, this newly released video shows Hayat Boumediene and a believed co-conspirator in an airport in Istanbul 5 days before the attack on Charlie Hebdo. Authorities believe that she may have escaped into ISIS-controlled Syria on January 8th. Investigators say she conspired with her boyfriend, Amadei Coulibaly, to commit terror. Police say he killed a French police officer Thursday, then 4 people inside a kosher market on Friday before being shot by police inside that market. This weekend, new video of Coulibaly surfaced, showing him sitting in the front of an ISIS flag. These newly released photos show Coulibaly's hostages inside the market's freezer, scared for their lives. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited that kosher market as fears about more anti-Semitism in France grow. Nearly 5,000 troops are now guarding Jewish schools. This student says, "Of course we're worried. He feels so unsafe as a Jew in France, he's planning on moving to Israel." Over the weekend, more than 1 million people marched in a unity rally in France. Leaders from 40 different countries locked arms in solidarity. Noticeably absent, a senior official from the Obama administration. Today, the White House admitted that was a mistake.
I think it's fair to say that we should have sent someone with a higher profile.
That's a rare admission of a mistake from the White House. Attorney General Eric Holder was actually in Paris at the time. He attended meetings, he did TV interviews, but he did not march. Secretary of State John Kerry is planning on going to France on Thursday. Reporting live from the newsroom, Alex Michelson, ABC7. Eyewitness News.
Okay, Alex, thank you. We will continue to update you on any new developments in the Paris terror attacks, and you can also stay connected on ABC7.com by following ABC7 on Facebook and Twitter and with the free ABC7 app.
Other news, the search is on to find a man authorities say followed another man home after a car accident and killed him. Accident happened at Main Street and El Segundo Boulevard in Willowbrook Saturday. Authorities say the victim, Daryl Daniels, tried to exchange contact information with the suspect, but the suspect refused and demanded Daniels give him $500 for damage. Daniels noticed the butt of a firearm and drove to his home nearby. Suspect followed Daniels and confronted him at gunpoint, demanding the money. And when Daniels refused to pay, suspect left, returned an hour later, shooting Daniels several times.
My son called me and told me that he had got shot. And I said, "Oh, is he okay?" And he's like, "No." And that's all I remember. Everything collapsed after that.
Authorities have little information to go on to find the suspect. Anyone with information is urged to call LA Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477.
A man is arraigned on charges he allegedly set his wife on fire in front of their young children in their Moore Park home. 31-year-old Juan Soria Hernandez was in a Ventura courtroom this morning. He pleaded not guilty, and a hearing was set for next week. He surrendered to authorities in Bakersfield last Thursday. His wife suffered significant burns and was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. She has since undergone several surgeries and is in a medically induced coma. Hernandez is being held on $1 million bail. We're learning more about the man arrested for allegedly kidnapping a 3-year-old girl from her home in Newhall, and there are new accusations that he may have tried to kidnap another girl. Eyewitness News reporter Giovanna Lara reports from San Fernando, where the suspect appeared today in court.
37-year-old Ethan Odom pled not guilty in court today. The judge declined our request to capture his image in the courtroom. It was a short hearing, but revealing. It turns out Odom is accused of not only kidnapping a 3-year-old girl from this Newhall home, but also of the attempted kidnapping of a 9-year-old girl 1 block away on the same day. That incident happening 55 minutes before the kidnapping of the 3-year-old. The younger child was rescued by her uncle, who chased down Odom and retrieved the girl. Odom now faces 3 serious charges: kidnapping, attempted kidnapping, and residential first-degree burglary. Odom is expected to appear in court again on January 27th, at which time the judge is scheduled to set a preliminary hearing. Odom's bail has been set at $285,000. In San Fernando, Giovanna Lara, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A while pursuit on Orange County streets and freeways comes to an end on the westbound 91 in Fullerton. All began when La Habra police tried to stop the driver of a car reported as stolen from a mall in Brea earlier this month. The female suspect allegedly rammed 2 vehicles en route, one a police car. She finally came to a stop on the 91 freeway when she became trapped in a blocked-off construction area at the Euclid off-ramp. And a burglary suspect is in critical condition after being shot by police. Officers responded to a burglary in progress at a business in Ontario. While trying to escape, the man rammed a stolen truck into a patrol car. Officers shot the suspect twice. He was rushed to the hospital. Another suspect, a woman, was taken to the hospital after being injured by shattered glass. She's been since released and taken into custody. No officers were hurt in the shooting. Investigators say they found stolen property inside the truck.
In New Mexico, 2 police officers are charged with murder after shooting a man following a 4-hour standoff. It was all caught on video. More now from ABC's Cecilia Vega.
Watch as the man appears to follow orders and surrender to Albuquerque police.
Good.
But seconds after that warning shot, the fatal moment.
Get on the ground!
The 4-hour standoff was recorded on police helmet cameras, and now this video will become the key evidence in its case. Today, Detective Keith Sandy and SWAT team member Dominique Perez charged with murder in the death of James Boyd. The March shooting, one of several to spark a federal investigation into a department long accused of excessive force. Boyd, who was homeless, seen here after the shooting holding 2 knives.
Unlike Ferguson and unlike in New York City, some recent high-profile cases, we're going to know. The public's going to have that information.
So there was an absolute perceived threat.
Officers say they will fight the charges. If convicted, they face up to life in prison. Cecilia Vega, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A dangerous discovery made by sheriff's deputies serving an arrest warrant in the Inland Empire. Investigators say when they entered a home in Landers, they found a large-scale cannabis extraction lab. These labs are highly explosive because of the use of large amounts of butane. In addition to the concentrated cannabis oil, crews also found several pounds of processed marijuana. 5 suspects were arrested and are now facing drug-related charges.
A dramatic video of a woman being rescued after a fall in Sequoia National Park near Fresno has been released. Take a look.
Engaged, coming up underneath the aircraft brake. No hazards on the left side.
On Saturday, the California Highway Patrol hoisted the 33-year-old into a helicopter and flew her to a hospital. Hiker fell a day earlier near Marble Falls, injuring her leg, and she was too hurt to climb out. The next day, another group of hikers heard her yelling, using her whistle to call for help.
A safety hazard that's existed for months in one South LA neighborhood is finally being fixed. It's a story we first brought to you on Eyewitness News on Friday. Neighbors say this hole, several feet deep, had existed in this public street for months with nothing being done to fix it. Eyewitness News brought it to the attention of City Hall, and workers began repairs that night. A leak in a private line leading to the sewer main has been repaired. Crews began the process of repaving the road today.
Drying out a bit today. Let's check in with Jonathan Novak for your forecast.
Well, Ellen, folks, not a bad one. We had some clouds out there this afternoon and still this evening. In fact, temperatures were cool. We were below average. Malibu, beautiful time lapse we caught for you there as the sun was saying goodbye today. 66 was our high in downtown. Normally we're at 68. We're going to see those numbers change in the upward direction as 70s are back in the forecast. But before we get to those high temperatures, tonight we'll be cooling back down into the lower 50s, upper 40s around the area. It's 57 right now in Van Nuys. We're going to start seeing some winds kick up over the next few days. 58 at LAX, and generally speaking, we are in the upper 50s around the board. 37 though in Wrightwood, and 48 Victorville, 49 Palmdale. So kind of a coolish night. Some clouds around tomorrow though. Things start changing with the temperatures going up and the winds kicking into high gear. I'll tell you about that coming up in that full 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
California Attorney General Kamala Harris will run for the U.S. Senate. That's according to an AP source. She's expected to announce tomorrow that she will seek the Senate seat being vacated by Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer. 50-year-old Harris is in her second term as Attorney General and previously served as District Attorney of San Francisco.
Congressman Paul Ryan, who was Mitt Romney's running mate in the 2012 election, has decided not to run for president in 2016. In a statement, Ryan said, "Our work at the House Ways and Means Committee over the next few years will be crucial to moving America forward, and my job as chairman deserves undivided attention." Ryan, who is married with 3 young children, said he reached his decision over the holidays last year, well before last week's news that Mitt Romney is once again eyeing a presidential bid.
Here's an example of why it pays to vote. Literally, a retired principal from upstate New York drove to his polling place on Election Day last November, and after voting, 80-year-old Harold Diamond planned to go to dinner with his wife in Middleton. But the weather was so bad they decided to stop at a Subway inside of Valero Station. Diamond bought 10 sets of Quick Fix for $10. He checked his ticket the next day, and to his surprise, he won $326 million Mega Millions lottery.
I saw the first 5 numbers, so I immediately knew we won $1 million.
Wow! Wow!
And then when I saw the last number, I yelled up to my wife, "I think we won a few bucks." You know?
Wow. Well, Diamond had been working with his financial advisor on a retirement plan. He says the lump check payment of $130 million after taxes will go a long way. Gee, you think?
Yeah.
Wow.
He should be fine now. Coming up, the terrifying moments when an elephant goes on the attack.
It's all caught on video, what officials now believe caused the aggressive behavior.
Shoot. Shoot.
Bang.
New information about this shocking video involving a baby playing with a handgun. We'll tell you what investigators are revealing about this disturbing case.
And the LA Sheriff's Department launches an internal probe after employees are named in an alleged scam to rip off people with towed vehicles.
Shoot. Shoot. Bang.
We're learning more about the parents of this 1-year-old girl on video playing with a handgun. Police in Indiana discovered the video on the father's phone after arresting him in an armed robbery case. In the video, you can see the baby holding the gun, fingers on the trigger, at times even putting the barrel in her mouth, as people believed to be the parents encourage her. Police say it appears the gun's magazine had been removed, but it's not clear if there was ammo in the chamber. Both parents are under arrest. The child is in protective custody. The Brady campaign to control gun violence responded to the video by saying, quote, each day, 7 kids are killed by guns in this country.
A wild elephant has damaged a grocery shop in a national park in Thailand. The animal shattered the window of the store with its trunk. 2 days earlier, an elephant attacked a car in that same park, denting it and smashing the windshield. That attack was caught on video, as you see here. Now, nobody was hurt in either incident. Officials aren't sure if the same elephant was involved in both, but the aggressive behavior, they say, is the result of mating season. They're warning park visitors to be wary of those elephants.
An international dart throwing competition turns violent in Australia. People in the crowd started throwing chairs, tables, and punches instead. Wow, the stadium holding the event says the rowdy behavior was started by a few people who had had too much to drink. As a result, thousands of fans didn't get to watch the end of the final competition. Officials say 3 people were treated for minor injuries. Dozens of people were ejected from the event. No arrests were made.
Okay, well, they take darts pretty seriously, apparently, in Australia.
Darts is apparently, in Australia, darts means chairs.
Yes, exactly.
That was crazy. Yeah. Hey, did you guys like today? It was cooler.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I liked it.
Do you like, 80s for the winter is kind of weird, right?
I like it a little cooler.
I know, right? So I kind of like that, too, but we're going to get back into the 70s. So we're going to sort of kind of split the difference. If you like the cooler weather, if you like the warmer weather, we're going to kind of get right in the middle here as we go through the forecast, and we're going to start seeing the winds pick up as well. But for today, we were below average. It was a coolish day. The clouds were out. Kind of nice. And this is a nice time lapse from Angeles National Forest as the sun was setting. 58 right now, Laguna Beach, light winds. Now, the winds are going to start picking up tomorrow morning and Wednesday morning. We got 2 days where we're going to see those breezes kicking in. 58 at Burbank at the moment. And we check out Van Nuys, 57, and where you're going to see, again, some winds, probably about 35 to 45. And at the coast right now, it's calm as well. The winds aren't a factor just yet. 58 degrees at the coast at LAX. 56 Santa Barbara, good evening. 58 Burbank, as we just saw, but also Ontario checking in the same numbers. So generally, upper 50s is the rule. Santa Clarita, though, in the mid-60s. One of the few spots is still hanging on to the 60s right now, as well as Palm Springs. So a nice, coolish, kind of mild night, if you will, with some clouds still hanging around. That's an area low pressure to the north, and as that heads to the south and east, it's going to help to kick those winds up on top of high pressure to the west. The two, as you see those winds go from high pressure to low pressure, mean that we're going to start with northerly winds going into tomorrow morning, changing to the northeast. Watch the timeline here in the future winds forecast. This is Tuesday morning up until 2 p.m. That's when they really start getting breezy. In fact, looks like winds around the mountains could gust as high as 50 miles an hour. That's what that shade right there indicates, that green right there, about 35 to 45 sustained, gusting up to 50 out of the northeast. So that northeast flow by Tuesday afternoon, that's going to be a Santa Ana wind. That's going to mean warmer temperatures into the 70s starting tomorrow and into Wednesday. The strongest winds will be Wednesday morning, and then they'll start waning as you go through Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, and we'll see things calm down. And Thursday looks pretty pleasant overall. The winds won't be an issue by then. So for tomorrow, breezy, especially in the morning and early afternoon. 70 in Los Angeles for a high. There you go, back above average. 70 in San Bernardino, 71 Mission Viejo and Anaheim. 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, powered up by AccuWeather. A little breezy in the morning tomorrow again. 74 on Wednesday, 76 on Thursday. Beautiful weather. Certainly not wintry whatsoever. And then Friday, 75. The weekend's looking good. And no systems in sight for rain. Valleys, i.e., again, watch out for some of those winds kicking up about 35 to 45 the next couple of days with temperatures into the mid-70s. Head to the beach. Looks nice. The winds won't be really that much of an issue. Shouldn't make it that far down, but temperatures getting into 70s by Wednesday for you. Now, the mountains, again, gusts could be up to 40 to 50 miles an hour Tuesday and Wednesday morning. Highs stuck in the 40s for a couple of days, and you get back into the 50s from Thursday in through Saturday. The weekend's looking pretty good. In the high desert, you as well have to watch out for some of those winds kicking in about 40 miles an hour. Temperatures back into the 60s for you as we head through Thursday. More weather coming up in a few minutes.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you.
You're welcome.
3 LA County Sheriff's deputies and a parking control officer have been relieved of duty. The 4 at the center of an alleged scam to get money and valuables from people with towed or impounded vehicles. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes talked to investigators.
They're the people who dole out parking tickets and have cars towed for the LA County Sheriff's Department. But one of these parking control officers and 3 deputies are now accused of ripping off people through the towing process.
Either accepting cash from a person who was going to be, impounded, or their vehicle was going to be towed, or items that were stolen.
Sheriff's Department spokesperson Nicole Nishida says the parking control officer and deputies in question are being investigated for separate cases and were allegedly operating independently of each other. All were based at the Century Station in Linwood.
The 4 sheriff's employees are relieved of duty as of last week with pay.
The Sheriff's Department is pointing to this towing investigation as a good example of its move toward transparency, with freshly elected Sheriff Jim McDonald setting a new tone for the department.
The Sheriff's Department and the Sheriff are trying to rebuild the public's trust, and we won't tolerate any kind of misconduct.
Again, this is an ongoing investigation, but Sheriff's investigators say they found no evidence that any other deputies or parking officers are involved in this kind of misconduct. In downtown LA, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, the winners of last night's Golden Globes go on to win Oscars.
We'll tell you who walked away with gold, and we'll hear from a big winner.
Plus, swimming for his life, a former NFL player lost in the ocean, forced to swim 9 miles to shore, speaking out for the first time. Independent films are proving to be the front-runners this award season, with the drama Boyhood taking home 3 top prizes at the annual Golden Globe Awards.
And the Golden Globe goes to Boyhood.
Director Richard Linklater's drama Boyhood earned Golden Globes for Best Drama, Best Director, and Best Supporting Actress Patricia Arquette. The film follows the evolution of one family over a 12-year period and was shot in real time as the actors aged. Arquette says she feels especially drawn to making independent films.
There's so much less funding for independent films. They really take so many chances and explore so much varied territory. When you're getting paid very little and you're just all in on a movie, and you're only there really because you want to. I mean, this movie, then I did another movie called The Wannabe after this, where I was paying more to my babysitter and dog walker than I was getting paid to be on the movie. That's often the case when you're working on independent films.
More Golden Globe news. The Grand Budapest Hotel earned the Best Picture trophy in the comedy category. Acting honors went to Julianne Moore, Best Drama Actress for Still Alice. Amy Adams won in the comedy category for Big Eyes. Comedy Actor Prize went to Michael Keaton for Birdman, and Eddie Redmayne won the Golden Globe for Dramatic Actor for The Theory of Everything. And next up, Oscar nominations, and our George Finocchio will bring the announcement live from Beverly Hills bright and early on Thursday morning on KABC.
And we're updating the evening's top stories next here at 7:30.
Including hackers seized control of U.S. military social media sites. Was ISIS behind the cyber attack?
Plus, 44 chihuahuas and other small dogs dropped off at a local animal shelter. Now officials want the public's help to deal with this overcrowded situation.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30, as many as 6 members of a terror cell tied to the Paris attacks may still be on the loose, according to French police. I'm Mark Brown.
I'm Ellen Leyva. David and Colleen are off. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. One of those on the run, Hayat Boumediene, who is believed to have escaped the attack on a kosher market. Newly released video shows her in an airport in Turkey just days before the Charlie Hebdo massacre. Turkish officials say she is now in Syria, and today the U.S. Central Command's Twitter and YouTube pages were hacked with pro-ISIS messages filling the profile pages. White House says it is investigating the hack.
Tonight, an unprecedented show of force across France. 10,000 additional troops are being deployed to protect French citizens. ABC's Terry Moran reports from Paris.
They are going to war here against the enemy within. Armed troops are now deployed on the streets of Paris, and by tomorrow, 10,000 soldiers will be on patrol throughout France, guarding against the next attack. Nearly half of those troops ordered to protect synagogues and Jewish schools. We saw them, soldiers at the school doors. At the Rue de Pave synagogue, where troops patrolled too, Robert Sviaiman told us his son refused to go to school today.
He said, please, Papa, don't let me go alone. Bring me to school, bring me back. So,
your son is afraid to go to school alone?
Alone, yeah.
Because he's a Jew?
The situation. Of course.
All this following that attack on the kosher market and other recent anti-Semitic incidents. Today, extraordinary new images from inside that kosher market during the standoff. A frightened child, cradled and hushed. Terrified customers hiding in a freezer. And for the first time today, in that other standoff where the Kawachi brothers took over a print shop, the man who hid under a sink for 8 hours and helped police storm the building speaks out. The terrorist came so close, just a few inches away.
He came back towards my cupboard to the one where I was hidden, he said, remembering how close one of the brothers came, and he drank from the tap just above me.
And the battle continues here on another front. The surviving staff of Charlie Hebdo magazine now saying they will print 3 million copies of their next edition, due out on Wednesday. And on Monday night, releasing the cover of that issue, a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad holding a Je suis Charlie, I am Charlie sign, and above him the words, all is forgiven. Terry Moran, ABC News, Paris.
White House is trying to do some political damage control. In a rare admission of a policy error, the Obama administration says it made a mistake by not sending a high-level official to the weekend anti-terror rally in Paris. White House spokesman Josh Earnest took some heat at the daily White House briefing.
Some have asked whether or not the United States should have sent someone with a higher profile than the ambassador to France. And I think it's fair to say that we should have sent someone with a higher profile.
Hoping to make amends, the White House says it plans to send Secretary of State John Kerry to Paris this weekend to meet with French leaders. Kerry is currently in Pakistan. We'll continue to update you on any new developments in the Paris terror attacks. You can also stay connected on ABC7.com by following ABC7 on Facebook and Twitter and with the free ABC7 app.
Scuba divers have now recovered the second black box from the Air Asia Flight 8501 disaster in the Java Sea. The flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder are considered essential to solving the mystery of what happened to Air Asia Flight 8501. The black box housing the flight data recorder was pulled yesterday from the bottom of the Java Sea.
These flight data recorders seems good, but it depends to the memory inside the protection. But I'm sure that according to our experience, that these flight data recorders can be opened and it can be read in a good condition.
The other black box, the cockpit voice recorder, was found soon after, about 60 feet away, buried beneath heavy wreckage. But just a short time ago, it too was recovered by divers and brought to the surface. Investigators will soon be analyzing the data they captured in the flight's final moments.
We're learning more about a parent murder-for-hire plot involving the owner of a West Hollywood skincare business. Late today, the alleged victim began testifying. And Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez was in the courtroom and has more.
Gabriel Suarez, a West Hollywood skincare specialist, knew he was in a competitive business, but never did he imagine that a rival salon operator, Don DeLuise, would be accused of targeting him for murder. Today, Sheriff's Detective Steve McCauley testified DeLuise gave him a list of people she said saw Suarez conduct a smear campaign against her, stealing her clients. The detective said she was angry, crying. She showed him pornographic pictures that had turned up on flyers, in emails, and on Craigslist. Her face photoshopped on lewd images along with her phone number and an invitation to all to play out a rape fantasy. Investigators later traced the images, but not to Suarez, instead to a supposed friend of DeLuise, Edward Feinstein. Detective McCauley says it was one of several twists in the case. He originally was trying to help DeLuise track her stalker. But then came evidence that DeLuise may have been misleading him. On that list of people she said were witnesses to Suarez's wrongdoing, the detective said he contacted several of them and they could not corroborate her statements. Investigators also uncovered a text message on DeLuise's phone to Feinstein, quote, "What time can you talk today? We need to firm up our story for the detective," unquote. Another text referred to a former NFL player who might help her. "I found someone who's going to take Gabriel out. His name is Chris Giley, and he's an ex-Detroit Lion quarterback," unquote. Giley told Eyewitness News exclusively DeLuise never tried to hire him as a hitman. Investigators say they consider him an innocent third party. Another innocent third party, Suarez. He took the stand late today. He told the jury that he found some of those flyers planted in his salon. He does not know how those offensive images got there. He takes the stand again tomorrow morning. Reporting from Del Air, Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Police need your help in identifying a Torrance bank robbery suspect. Investigators say the suspect robbed the Farmers Bank on Thursday, December 4th. He got away with about $3,000 and went to a nearby store and shopped for several hours, changing his shirt more than once. While in the bank, he was wearing a red shirt and then changed to a dark color and then finally to a white shirt. Investigators are asking anyone who may recognize this man to contact Torrance police.
There has been a string of armed robberies at a Riverside shopping center in recent weeks, including 2 at one store. An employee says on December 13th, a robber pointed a gun at her and demanded all the cash from the Boost mobile store she manages in Riverside. This is surveillance video from a second encounter just 2 weeks later.
Comes in, and I'm thinking in my head, like, are you kidding me? Not again. And he says, even faster this time.
Video taken moments before the crime shows the suspect without a mask. If you have any information on who he is, you're asked to call Riverside Police.
Been a large increase in the number of stranded sea lions being rescued and treated, some of them very seriously ill. Officials at a Pacific Marine Mammal Center says since January 1st, they've had 11 stranded sea lions. Compared to last January, there were only 4. Most of the rescues are pups or yearlings, baby sea lions that come to the center in very bad shape.
They're extremely emaciated. We've noticed that there's been a high parasite infestation in some of them as well, some upper respiratory infections.
Volunteers work to get the starving sea lions hydrated and eating again before releasing them back into the ocean. While it's too early to know what's causing the increase in sick sea lions, Sedlick thinks one possibility is the increased surf, possibly because of the storm surge.
An already overcrowded animal shelter takes in nearly 4 dozen dogs at the same time from the same man.
Shelter officials believe they came from a breeding situation that got out of hand. As Eyewitness News reporter Robert Olguin shows us, some of the pups are still looking for loving homes.
This is Claire. She's a Chihuahua Beagle mix, and she's one of 44 small dogs that someone dropped off at this animal shelter in Van Nuys.
They ranged in age from 6 weeks all the way up to 7 years old.
Jan Selder is with the city's East Valley Animal Shelter. She says the man who brought in the 44 dogs was likely an amateur breeder who lost control of the situation. What did he say to you when he brought them in?
Really, he came to us for help. This is someone that came into the shelter and said, I need help. I have too many dogs and I can't keep them.
Seltzer says the dogs were not neglected or abused, but they were not spayed or neutered. And in LA, you're only allowed 3 dogs and 3 cats.
You're not allowed to have 44 dogs. So they're here. They're up for adoption. We've had really good success.
Fortunately, most of the dogs have already found homes with individuals or rescue groups. That's good news for a shelter that's already overcrowded. Of the 44 that were dropped off here at the East Valley Shelter, only 12 are still available for adoption. But there are still many other very cute dogs here that are available. And shelter officials will say any adoption is a good adoption.
Even if it's not one of these dogs, if you can adopt another dog, a cat, a rabbit, that obviously helps the shelter.
The cost of adopting an animal at a shelter in the city of LA is $122. The East Valley Shelter on Van Nuys is open tomorrow from 8 to 5. Reporting from Van Nuys, Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
An amazing survival story up next.
Bit by jellyfish. Right when the sun was going down, I was circled by a shark.
Former NFL player talks about what it took to survive a 9-mile swim to shore after going overboard while fishing.
And a heads up for frequent flyers. Hackers have hit several airlines. We'll tell you what you need to know.
Jonathan Novak here. I've got sunshine ahead for you. I've got windy conditions and warmer weather. I will tell you all about it coming up in that 7-day forecast. Stick around.
If you are a frequent flyer with American or United, you may want to check your statements. The airlines say thieves with stolen usernames and passwords broke into some consumer accounts and in some cases booked free trips or upgrades. The incidents happened in late December. American started emailing customers about the thefts today. About 10,000 accounts were affected. Some have been frozen while the airline sets up new accounts. United notified customers in late December and said it would restore miles to anyone who had them stolen. And Crayola is apologizing after hackers filled its Facebook page with inappropriate content. Over the weekend, hackers somehow got control of the page and put up cartoon drawings of body parts and sex jokes. Crayola's page has nearly 2.5 million followers. We presume a fair amount of them are kids. Yesterday evening, Crayola tweeted that it was aware of the problem. A few hours later, it had cleaned up the offensive content and got the page back to normal.
President Obama wants Congress to pass legislation that would require companies to notify customers if their data has been hacked.
So this is a direct threat to the economic security of American families, and we've got to stop it.
The President wants lawmakers to pass the Personal Data Notification and Protection Act. It would require U.S. companies to alert customers within 30 days of any breach that compromises their personal information.
A boater's nightmare. A former Miami Dolphin swam 9 miles for his life after falling out of his boat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Rob Conrad faced the media for the first time today to talk about his terrifying ordeal. As reporter Will Manso shows us, Conrad was extremely emotional.
I shouldn't be here.
Rob Conrad was often emotional and at the brink of tears describing his story of survival.
I was 9 miles out. My boat was on autopilot, heading east towards the Bahamas. I didn't have a chance to give an SOS call, simply because I was ejected from the boat so quickly. I did not have a personal flotation device on me, and there were no boats in sight. Yeah, I mean, after some time, I just said, look, I'm not dying tonight, and I'm going to make it to shore.
After getting knocked off his boat by a strong wave, that boat kept on going because it was on autopilot. He was all alone, except for the marine life.
Bit by jellyfish. Right when the sun was going down, I was circled by a shark. Luckily, did one circle around and left.
It sounds like a story straight out of a Hollywood movie. And fortunately, this script did have a happy ending.
After, many, many hours, I got to a point where I could start to hear the waves crashing on the shore.
He got to shore and then got some help from a homeowner in Palm Beach. And eventually, he was reunited with his family.
I've got two beautiful daughters. I was sitting at shore.
That was Will Manso reporting. Conrad was in the hospital until yesterday. He not only dealt with hypothermia, but also severe dehydration. But he is expected to make a full recovery.
What a story. Santa Ana winds in the forecast. Meteorologist Jonathan Novak has details up next.
And we'll show you how Cowboys superfan Chris Christie reacted to the controversial call that may have cost Dallas a win over Green Bay.
And paying a pretty penny for one that was made more than 200 years ago. You won't believe how much a local man shelled out for the rare coin. One of two men trying to scale Yosemite's El Capitan Dawn Wall has finally made it through an incredibly tough stretch and is now trying to catch up with his partner. Kevin Jorgensen and Tommy Caldwell are trying to become the first people to scale the wall with just their hands and feet, using ropes only as a safety precaution. Jorgensen got stuck in one spot for 7 days, falling 11 times and tearing up his fingers in the process. But he finally made it through, and Caldwell is waiting for him up the wall on a thin ledge.
Up the wall on a thin ledge. Words that will never be said about me.
Yeah, I'm like, what? What? They're doing what?
Yeah.
11 times?
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, no thanks. The couch sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
The couch.
Yeah.
I can climb up the couch and take a nap. That's good. Hey, winds are picking up. We have Santa Ana's back in play. So you know what that means?
Allergies.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't thinking allergies. That means allergies. It means warmer weather, too. We've got temperatures going up and allergies, which, yeah, I've got those. Los Angeles looked good today. We had some clouds around, and as we head over to Angeles National Forest, you saw a time lapse that looked like this. It was a partly cloudy, mostly cloudy day, but tomorrow, sunshine around and about. 66 is our high today in downtown. Normally we're at 68, so yes, below average. The lows above average because we had some of that morning cloud cover, and then tomorrow morning we're going to bottom out probably right about average, a little bit above actually, and then we'll start warming up from there. 59 in downtown at the moment. At the coast we head over to Long Beach. Good evening to you. 58 degrees and 49 in Palmdale, where it's going to get windy tomorrow and Wednesday. 64 Santa Clarita, 50 up top at Edwards, and 46 Victorville. Let's head back over to Long Beach and Santa Monica, sharing that 58 degrees. Oh, it's cold up in the Dakotas. Over to Minnesota, they got wind chills tonight, 25 to 30 below. That means it's going to feel like it's 25 to 30 below, and then a big system rolling through the East Coast with rain and snow, and is just pleasant here in Southern California. The setup is this: high pressure building off to the west, right here, and then we have this area low pressure that's up to our northeast that's going to be sliding down to the south. Let me show you that right here. So winds go around low pressure counterclockwise, and then winds go around high pressure clockwise. So you can get an idea that those winds are going to come straight down out of the north for the first half of tomorrow, and then eventually out of the northeast. That northeast wind is what warms us up, and that's going to be kicking up 35, 40 miles an hour as we go through Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday morning. Future wind shows those gusty conditions for LA and Ventura County, in the mountains especially, about 50 mile an hour for the wind gusts. That would be the top end of the wind gust spectrum, about 35 to 40 in the valleys. Wednesday morning would be the peak of the wind event. This isn't a huge Santa Ana wind event, but it's there, and it's the low end probably for some wind advisories. We'll have to see how that plays out. But it looks like winds on Wednesday morning, also breezy, warming us up, though, to the mid-70s on Wednesday. Highs tomorrow, the lower 70s. 70 in Los Angeles, mid-60s in Sino, lower 70s in the IE. 70 forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, just beautiful stuff. A lot of sunshine around, the warmest days Wednesday and Thursday, and the winds are going to be kicking up again tomorrow and Wednesday. Those will be the breeziest days, with still some winds a little bit on Thursday in the valleys and IE, where your highs are at the mid-70s on Thursday. Beaches, very nice. Upper 60s tomorrow, and then you're in the 70s until Saturday. A lot of sunshine to go around. No real clouds until late in the game. Mountains, breezy with gusts 40 to 50 tomorrow. Highs don't get back into the 50s for you until Thursday, and the high desert looking windy and cool for a couple of days before you're back in the 60s. That's it for me. Danny has more on ABC7 at 11.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jonathan. Sports now. Kobe Bryant has been MIA as of late for the Lakers, but he continues to shine off the court. The Mamba has received the third most votes for the upcoming NBA All-Star game in Madison Square Garden, and his jersey is the fourth most popular in the league. Kobe sat out his second straight game last night as Portland, behind Damon Lillard's 34 points, 7 assists performance. He missed 3 of the last 4 games and 6 of 11 overall. Before Kobe started taking games off in late December, he averaged 35 minutes and 22 shots. In the 5 games he's played since then, KB playing about 31 minutes per game and taking 12 shots. So, moving on, Kobe's playing status is game by game.
He told me that he felt pretty good, and pretty good wasn't good enough for me, resting him last night I thought was good for us and for him especially. Like I said today, he said he feels a whole lot better. He said he's ready to go, but I said, well, let's talk again tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Tonight's national championship game is being played at the Dallas Cowboys' home stadium on the day after the Cowboys' controversial loss in Green Bay against the Packers. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie was there to root Dallas on.
New York Bozo! New York Bozo! New York Bozo!
Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers said after the game he wasn't referring to Christie when he said New York bozo. In fact, Jersey is he's the governor of New Jersey. Just an ad lib. With the Pack leading 26-21 late in the fourth, it looked like Christie's mojo was intact as Des Bryant appeared to make that leaping circus catch. It would have put Dallas just 1 yard away from a game-winning touchdown. Christie pumped his fist in celebration, but like a lot of other people, he was in for a surprise because the replay showed Bryant did not have control of the ball when he hit the ground. The call was reversed, no catch. A shocked Christie reacts as he heads back to New Jersey with his orange sweater as his favorite team leaves Lambeau Field with a 26-21 loss.
A penny has been just sold for more than $2 million, and the man who bought it couldn't be happier. Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand explains.
Walking into Kevin Lipton's Beverly Hills offices, you learn very quickly. The man collects some impressive stuff.
I collect a lot of really fabulous art antiques.
But he now has a new addition to his collection that cost him more than $2.5 million, and he prizes it more than any other.
I did have a favorite, and now this has become number one.
So what is it?
It's the 1792 Birch penny.
You heard him correctly, a penny for $2.5 million.
It's a penny, yeah, but this penny is more than just a penny. This penny is a piece of art. It's a piece of incredible part of our history.
Dating back to 1792, the Birch penny, named after Robert Birch, its engraver, was basically a prototype, minted 3 years into George Washington's presidency to help decide what the United States' first coins would look like.
These early patterns were presented to the Founding Fathers. They were shown to Adams. They were shown to Jefferson to get their blessing.
Only 10 were made, and this was the pinnacle of the 10.
A fantastic piece of history. It's, like I said, it's one of the 10 greatest American coins.
Now, the penny hasn't arrived here in California yet. Right now, it's on an armored truck somewhere between Orlando, Florida, and Beverly Hills, but there are other coins here that are worth nearly as much. This penny may say 1 cent, and this penny may say 1 cent, but this one is worth $2 million.
And that's not all. At the same auction as the Birch penny, Lipton also bought a 1792 quarter for $2.2 million, a far cry from the $10 coins he first started collecting at the age of 10. And now his new $2.5 million penny, which Lipton says he got at a bargain, is the most expensive penny in history.
This coin is just, there's just something about it.
Jory Rand, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Special coin.
Yep.
More news straight ahead here at 7:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. It has been 5 years since a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck Haiti, killing hundreds of thousands of people. Chief of Surgery at Children's Hospital Los Angeles has spent the last 5 years traveling back to Haiti to help with the long recovery. Tonight, our David Ono has Dr. Henri Ford's story. She said yes to the dress, but could it land a beauty queen in hot water? We'll have these stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Runaway pig in Wisconsin. A group of men tried chasing it for about a half hour outside a Wausau home. They had trouble catching the little guy. The hind legs of the pig were tied, but finally, with the help of police, the men corralled it. They have no idea where it came from. The pig was taken to the Humane Society.
We thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law and Order SVU is next here on LA56.
And Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com. You can get your news 24 hours a day by following us on Facebook and Twitter and by downloading our ABC7 app. And we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 right here on LA56.